भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। We had started the 14th adhyaya, and the 14th adhyaya primarily focuses on the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. I think we had seen up to the 16th shloka. Yeah, we had seen until the 16th shloka. So yesterday, as soon as the class was over, I had to rush on a trip, day trip to some temples, and I came back really late. So first of all, I'm sorry I have not sent you the translation for yesterday. I'll send it along with today's session. And also, I think the video was not available. So the video is also available now of yesterday's class in case somebody missed it. So today's thing also will be available after the class. So bear with me for that. So we saw this 16th shloka. Let's go to the next one. He's trying to describe sattva, rajas, tamas in greater detail. Sattvat sanjayate jnanam rajaso lobha evacha pramada mohau tamaso bhavato jnanam evacha bhavato ajnanam evacha. So what is the result of sattva? So those who are in the, having the guna of sattva, wisdom is born from such people. Wisdom is born from sattva, from the guna of sattva. Then greed is born from rajas, and from tamas, distraction, ignorance, and delusion is born. So sattvat jnanam sanjayate. From sattva, from the trait of sattva, jnanam sanjayate. So wisdom is born. Sattva is predominant in a person, then wisdom comes from that trait. Rajasaha lobha evacha sanjayate is to be understood. So from rajas, lobha or greed is born. Tamasaha pramada mohau bhavataha ajnana evacha. So from tamas, there is pramada, which is carelessness and distraction, kind of cavalier attitude. Then moha, which is attachment and delusion, and ajnana, which is ignorance. So these are the qualities that come from tamas. So sattvat sanjayate jnanam.
Sattvat sanjayate jnanam.
Rajaso lobha evacha.
Rajaso lobha evacha.
Pramada mohau tamaso.
Pramada mohau tamaso.
Bhavato jnanam evacha.
Bhavato jnanam evacha.
Thank you. Urdhvam gachanti sattvastha madhye tishtati rajasaha jaghanya gunavrittastha adho gachanti tamasaha. So people who are living in sattva, they advance upwards. Those who are in rajas, those who have got the trait of rajas, are stuck in the middle. And those in tamas, which is the lowest quality of activity, they sink downwards. So sattva is elevating, rajas helps you maintain a status quo, and tamas is a downward spiral. Sattvasthaha urdhvam gachanti. Those who are established in sattva, sattvasthaha, urdhvam, upwards. Urdhvam gachanti, they go upwards. Rajasaha madhye tishtanti, they stand in the middle. They stand in not going up, not going down, but in the middle. Jaghanya gunavrittisthaha tamasaha adaha gachanti. So jaghanya gunavrittisthaha, so which is like kind of the lowest, established in this lowest trait, lowest quality of activity. Tamasaha, those who are established, who are in tamas, adha gachanti, they go downwards. So when we say upwards, middle, and downwards, what we are talking about is our advancement in the spiritual journey. It does not mean those who are in sattva will be flying in, in a airplane, and people in rajas will be walking on the ground, and people in tamas will be swimming at the heart of the depth of the seas, right? So it's not a physical upward, middle, and downward, but it is in a spiritual journey. So from in our own quality of life, excuse me. So in our quality of life, sattva helps elevate our life. Rajas kind of maintains the status quo, and tamas is a downward spiral which brings us to a state of ignorance and a low state. So urdhvam gachanti sattvastha
ऊर्ध्वं गच्छन्ति सत्त्वस्था
मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसाः
मध्ये तिष्ठन्ति राजसाः
जघन्य गुणवृत्तस्था
जगन्यगुणवृत्तस्ताः
अधो गच्छन्ति तामसाः.
अधो गच्छन्ति तामसाः.
Very good. नान्यं गुणेभ्यः कर्तारं यदा द्रष्टानुपश्यति गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेत्ति मद्भावं सोऽधिगच्छति. So one who has realized that the three gunas are the driving force in every activity, and those who also know what exists beyond the gunas attain the supreme state. Drashta yada gunebhyah anyam kartaram na anupashyati, then atmanam to be understood. Gunebhyah cha param veti saha madbhavam adhigacchati. So saha madbhavam adhigacchati is the main thing. So he attains my state of being. He attains the supreme state. So who is this person who attains the supreme state? Drashta yada gunebhyah anyam kartaram na anupashyati. So one who sees the gunas are the driving force in all action, is not seeing anything outside of the three gunas, then gunebhyah cha param veti, no one who knows what is superior to, or what is over and above the three gunas, saha madbhavam adhigacchati. So he realizes, she realizes that whatever is happening are the interplay of gunas, right? We also remember we saw earlier guna guneshu vartanta, right? The third chapter. So he sees that the gunas are at play. At the same time, he or she also realizes what is above the guna. That's why he says nistray gunyo bhavarjuna, right? So go beyond the three gunas. The Vedas talk about the three gunas, he says, and you have to go beyond them. So a wise person knows that this is the interplay of the gunas, and also knows what lies above it, what transcends the gunas. Then he attains the highest state. When he realizes that the self is not the cause of the actions, the gunas, and what lies above the three gunas, then he attains the highest state. So nanyam gunebhyah kartaram
नान्यं गुणेभ्यः कर्तारं
यदा द्रष्टानुपश्यति
यदा दृष्टानुपश्यति
गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेत्ति
गुणेभ्यश्च परं वेत्ति
मद्भावं सोऽधिगच्छति.
मद्भावं सोऽधिगच्छति.
Then he says gunanetan atitya trin dehi deha samudbhavan janma mrityu jara dukkaihi vimuktomritam ashnute. So when one has risen above the gunas, which are associated with the body, with the material aspect, he is liberated from birth, death, old age, and pain, and attains immortality, becomes immortal. So dehi deha samudbhavan etan trin gunan atitya janma mrityu jara dukkaihi vimukta amritam ashnute. So dehi is the one who inhabits the deha. Deha is body. Dehi is the spirit or the Atma that is in the Deha. So Dehi, when the Dehi, so here when the individual, here we can take Dehi as the individual, the thinking being that resides in the body. So that the being, Dehi, has risen. So Deha Samudbhavan Etan Treen Gunan, the three gunas which are associated with the Deha. Deha Samudbhavan Etan Treen Gunan Atitya. When one has risen above these three gunas, then Janma, birth, Mrityu, death, Jara, old age, Dukkhaihi. That is this from all this. So Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Dukkhaihi. So Janma, Mrityu, Jara, old age, and Dukkha is suffering or pain. From all this, Vimuktaha is free, is liberated, and Amritam Ashnute, and attains immortality, attains the highest state. So when a person becomes Nistraigunya, right? When what Krishna says, you go beyond the gunas are the ones that associated the body with the material aspect. When person goes beyond this, what happens, attains the highest state. The highest state is, like I had told you earlier, a state of moksha, a state of sustained bliss, a state of complete detachment. So this birth and death do not affect him, because birth and death is only people who are associating with the body. When you think that you are the body, then you say, oh, I was born on this particular day, I'm going to die one day. So you are associating only with the body. But when you are going beyond that, then what applies to the body is not all applicable to you. So the body will be born and it will die at some point of time, but he realizes there is higher than that. So birth and death, old age, pain, disease, all these things affect the body. It does not affect the thing which is the Dehi, does not affect the Atma. It only affects the body. So one who is detached from the association with the body and realizes that the body is just a vehicle. It's like how we wear clothes. Similarly, the body also is held by the Atma, which again, in the second chapter, I've seen it. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya. Just like how we discard old clothes, after a point of time, once the body is old, the Atma discards that body, takes a new body. So here, once you have gone beyond the guna, there's no need to take another body because there is no association with the body. You have gone beyond that. And what is the natural result of not associating with the material world is immortality. That there is mortal itself means it is pertaining to the material world. When it's not pertaining to the material world, it is immortal. So gunanetan atityatrin.
Gunan etan atityatim
Dehi deha samudbhavan.
Dehi deha samudbhavan
Janma mrityu jara dukkhaihi.
Janma mrityu jara dukkhaihi
Vimuktomritam ashnute.
Vimuktomritam
Good. So then, next step, Arjuna asks a question which is very reminiscent of what he asks in the second chapter. If you remember in the second chapter, 54th shloka, I think, he says, what are the qualities of a Sthita Prajna? I want to know how he sits, how he eats, how he speaks. What is the nature of a Sthita Prajna? He is very enamored by this idea of a person who is detached, who can be balanced in all conditions. So what really is the nature of the Sthita Prajna, he asks. Similarly, now he's asking what is the nature of a person who has gone beyond the gunas. Arjuna uvacha kair lingai strin gunan etan atito bhavati prabho kim achara katham chaitan strin, so chaitan trin gunan ativartate. So what are the traits of one who has gone beyond the gunas? What is his way of life? How does he go beyond the gunas? So this is very similar to the older question, right? So he wants to know what is the nature of a gunatita. So Prabho, O Lord, kaihi lingaihi etan trin gunan atita bhavati. What are the traits? What are the indicators of what are the traits of somebody who has gone beyond etan trin gunan, these three gunas, atitaha, one who has gone beyond these three gunas. What kailingai bhavati? What are the qualities? What are the indicators? What are the symbols? Kim acharaha? What is his way of life? How does he go about dealing with things? And katham cha etan trin gunan ativartate? What is the, how is it that we can go beyond the three gunas? So kathancha etan trin gunan ativartate, how we can transcend, how we can go beyond the three gunas. So Arjuna uvacha.
Arjuna uvacha.
Kairlingais trin gunan.
Kairlingais three gunan.
Etan atito bhavati prabho.
Etanatito bhavati prabho.
Kim achara katham chaitan.
Kimachara katham chaitan.
Trin gunan ativartate.
Trim gunan ativartante.
Ativartate. That goes beyond the three gunas. And Krishna replies, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, Prakasham cha pravrittim cha mohameva cha pandava na dveshti sampravrittani na nivrittani kankshati. So one who has gone beyond the influence of the gunas is not moved by the illumination of sattva. He's not troubled by the activity arising from rajas or the delusion caused by tamas. He neither dislikes them when they are present nor desires for them when they are absent. Okay. We look at the translations of these verses. It's a big set. Then we will go to the Anvaya Krama at the end of the 25th shloka. So I'll just explain verses first in English, then we can take that entire set 22 to 25 as one unit for the Anvaya Krama. Okay, then we can repeat the verses also at the end of that. So he's not troubled by the three gunas. At the same time, he is not disliking it when they are present. He's not craving for it when they are absent. Then he says, Udasinavadasino gunair yo na vichalyate guna vartanta ityeva yovatisthati nengate. So he is never distracted. He stands firm. He remains calm and unaffected by the gunas because he understands how the gunas work. Then next he says, Sama dukkha sukha swasthaha samaloštashma kanchanaha tulya priya priyodhiraha tulya nindatma samstutihi. So he is the same towards pleasure and pain. Whether it is gold, mud or stone, it makes no difference to him. With the same courage, he faces reward and punishment, the pleasant and the unpleasant. Finally, Manava manayos tulyaha tulyo mitrari pakshayoho sarvarambha parityagi gunatitaha sa uchyate. So he regards alike praise and criticism, friend and foe, honor and dishonor. He is above all selfish pursuits. So he has truly gone beyond the gunas. So these are the set of 4 shlokas that describe the person gone beyond. It is, you can recall there are multiple such instances in the Gita, right? Starting from the Prajahati Yada Kaman Sarvan Parthamanogathan, the 55th shloka of the 2nd chapter, that's set 55 to 72. Then later some of the traits he recalls, I think, in the 7th chapter. Then again in the 12th chapter, there is entire set starting from Adveshta, Sarvabhutana, Maitra, Karuna Evacha, the 13th shloka to the 20th shloka. Then in the 13th adhyaya, again, Namanitvam, Madambitvam, 4 or 5 shlokas. So if we look at these units, a lot of it will be reiterations. And it's important because sometimes it's easy for us to forget these important things. So there is a reiteration. So here, let us look at the Anvaya together for all the 4 shlokas. So he says, Pandava, son of Pandu, Prakasham cha pravrittim cha moham eva cha sampravrittani na dveshti na vrittani na kankshati. So Prakasham cha pravrittim cha moham eva. So prakasham, which is the result of sattva, illumination of sattva. Then pravrittim, that is the work and the action and the activity that arises from rajas. Then moham is delusion, which is a result of tamas. So whether whatever comes from sattva or rajas, tamas, sampravrittani, what arises from that, na dveshti, when they appear, when it is there in his life, he doesn't hate that, he doesn't dislike these things when they are present, and na vrittanina nivrittanina kankshati, when they are absent, he is not craving for it. So we have seen earlier that from sattva, what arises? Brilliance, light, prakasham, something which is very positive, and knowledge and all these things come from sattva. From rajas, we have relentless activity. From tamas, we have delusion. And since in our each of us, we have some percentage of sattva, rajas, and tamas. All these three things are there within us. And we saw earlier that at some point of time, one of these gunas predominate. So, irrespective of that, when certain things are there, he is not disliking them. When they are not there, he is not craving for them. Then, yaha udasinavat asinaha gunaihi न विचाल्यते यह गुणाः वर्तन्ते इति एव अवतिष्ठति न इंगते. So यह उदासीनवत् आसीनः, so he is never distracted. He is kind of aloof in a positive sense. He is impartial. He is not distracted. He stands firm. Gunaihi na vichalyate. He doesn't get troubled. He remains calm and unaffected by the gunas. Yaha, such a person, gunaha vartante iti eva avatishtati na ingate. Because he understands how the gunas work, and therefore he is calm and unaffected. He is not troubled. He is not shaken by the workings of the guna. Then sama dukkha swastha samaloštashma kanchanaha tulya priya priyaha dhiraha tulya nindatma samstutihi manapamanayoh tulyaha mitrari pakshoh tulyaha sarvarambha parityagi saha gunavatita uchyate. So here sama so 24 and 25 together, sama dukkha sukha, well known, the one who is the same in dukkha and sukha, one who is the same in pleasure and pain. Swasthaha, he is established in himself. That is what swasthaha means. He is happy with what he has. Samaloštashma kanchanaha. So he treats mud, stone, and gold the same way. That doesn't mean he will wear a golden, he will wear a bracelet made of stone, or he will throw a piece of gold to, in the river. That's not what it means. Again, going back, Samavarti, Samadarshi. Samavarti is one who blindly treats everybody the same way. So he will take mud, gold, and stone, everything is same. No. He's a Samadarshi. What does it mean? Whether it is mud or gold or stone, he is not perturbed by it. He is not worried by it. He is not overly attracted to the gold. He is not overly averse to the stone. Nothing. For him, it's the same. Whether it is gold or mud or stone, it is the same. He treats it with the same level of detachment. Okay. Tulya, priya, apriya. Priya and apriya. What is dear and what is not dear? What is pleasant and unpleasant? He treats it the same way. Tulya, priya, priyaha. Priya and apriya. He is treating the same way. Dhiraha. He is very courageous. Because if you don't have courage, all these things are not possible. So that dhairya is very important. That ability to forbear, ability to sustain, the courage, all these things are very important if you want to have this mindset. This is prescription not for the weak, not for the feeble-minded at all. One has to be very courageous to be detached. We see that again and again in Swami Vivekananda's lectures and his personality itself, he again and again used to say, sannyasa or vairagya is not for the weak-hearted. It is not for people who don't have that strength of spirit. If people who are weak, they take on to sannyasa, it will be a disaster. As beautifully, Dr. S.L. Bhairappa has written in his novel Nirakarana. If you have not read that, now there's also an English translation that my friend Arjun Bharadwaj has worked on with Professor Shantakumari. It's available. It's a beautiful modern commentary on the Gita itself, especially if you want to understand what happens to somebody who is a weak-hearted person and tries to take up sannyasa and the kind of disastrous effects it has, you can look at that. So the dhira is very important here. Then tulya nindatma samstutihi. Both praise and blame, praise and criticism, he treats the same way. Mana avamana yoho tulyaha. He treats honor and insult in the same spirit. When somebody honors us, we are so elated. When somebody insults us, we want to take revenge. But he treats honor and dishonor in the same spirit. Mitrari pakshayoho tulyaha. Mitra, Ari. Mitra is a friend, Ari is enemy, and Paksha, the side, whether it's the allies or the people who are against you. Again, you're treating them, you're thinking about them in the same spirit. You're not looking at them as different. Because once you attain the higher state, the Brahmi Sthiti, there is no friend, there is no foe. Everything is one, right? So there is no question of mana, somebody doing insult to you and you receiving that insult, somebody honoring you, you receiving the honor. These dualities don't exist, right? So all these things are cleaned up. Sarvarambha parityagi. We saw this phrase even in the 12th chapter. One who doesn't take up any selfish pursuits. Saha gunatita uchyate. Such a person is called gunatita. Such a person is said to have gone beyond the gunas. Right? And when we have this idea of swasthaha, that means established in oneself, established in the Atma, it basically means one is satisfied, one is happy, one is fulfilled. The word for health is also swastha, to be oneself. That is what is being healthy. We say, how's swasthya, how's your swasthya, how's your health? So swastha means somebody who's he's healthy, he's fine. When we are not ourselves, then only we become aswastha or unhealthy. So when we are ourselves, we are healthy. Okay. So let's now look at the verses 22 to 25 once. Just go through them. Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
Prakasham cha pravrittim cha.
Prakasham cha pravrittim cha.
Mohameva cha Pandava.
Mohameva cha Pandava.
Na dveshti sampravrittani.
Na dveshti sampravrittani.
Na nivrittani kankshati.
Na nivrittani kankshati.
Udasinavadasino.
Udasinavadasino.
Gunairyo na vichalyate.
Gunairyo na vichalyate.
Guna vartanta ityeva.
Guna vartanta ityeva.
Yovatishtati ningate.
Yovatishtati ningate.
Sama dukkha sukha swastha.
Sama dukkha sukha swastha.
Sama loshtashma kanchanaha.
Sama loshtashma kanchanaha.
Tulya priya priyo dhiraha.
Tulya priya priyo dhiraha.
Tulya nindatma samstutihi.
Tulya nindatma samstutihi.
Manava manayos tulyaha.
Manava manayos tulyaha.
Tulyo mitrari pakshayoho.
Tulya mitrari pakshayoho.
Sarvarambha parityagi.
Sarvarambha parityagi.
Gunatitaha sa uchyate.
Gunatitaha sa uchyate.
Thank you. Then He says, Mam cha yo vyabhicharena, yo avyabhicharena. So, yaha avyabhicharena. Mam cha yo vyabhicharena, bhakti yogena sevate, sa gunan samatityaitan, brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So, one who sincerely worships me through the path of devotion, crosses the barriers of guna, is ready to attain the Brahman. So, one who is sincerely worshipping the Supreme, such a person crosses the barriers of guna and he is ready to attain the highest state. So, yaha cha avyabhicharena bhakti yogena mam sevate saha etan gunan samatitya brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So, yaha one cha avyabhicharena bhakti yogena. So, one who sincerely, without any vyabhichara, without any perversions, avyabhicharena bhakti yogena, through the path of bhakti yoga, one who worships me, Mam Sevate, one who worships the Supreme Being, Saha, such a he, Etan Gunan Samatitya, crosses the barriers, crosses these gunas, transcends these gunas. Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. He gets ready, he prepares himself or herself to attain the Brahman, to attain the highest state. It is a preparatory stage. It is a in the spiritual staircase, it is the stage which is the penultimate, just before the getting to the penultimate, just before getting to the highest Brahmi sthiti. This is the state. So once he gets rid of this gunas and crosses this barrier and devotes himself sincerely to the highest, then he goes, transcends this state and becomes ready to become one with Brahman. And clearly we see here, the path taken, the Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, all these are valid paths. They're equally valid for people. It is valid for those with whom it aligns. Right? So, I have told this earlier also that one should not think that these three paths are some sort of hierarchy. It's like you're living in Kanakpura Road and you want to go to Mysore. You're living in some, say Baswangudi and you want to go to Mysore. You'll probably take two different routes, because if you're already living in Kanakpura Road somewhere, it's easier for you to take that path than to come this side and then go to Mysore. Whereas if you're already living near RV College, you may just continue down on Mysore Road. So it's easier, right? Similarly, just an easy example of Bangalore, but it's the same with in any other realm as well, right? When somebody is already gone so ahead in certain path based on their internal tendencies, their family upbringing, or their genetic disposition, whatever may be the case. Some people are more aligned to bhakti, some are more aligned to jnana, some are more aligned to karma. But whatever the path you take, eventually you're going to reach the Brahmi Sthiti, the highest goal. That's the idea, right? So here he says, one who completely, is devoted to me without any vyabhichara, without any distractions, perversions, who sincerely worships the Supreme, they crosses the barrier of guna and becomes ready to unite with Brahman. Similarly, he has spoken about the greatness of jnana elsewhere and nirlepa karma elsewhere. So it doesn't matter, whatever is suitable to you. So Bhagavad Gita is a sort of a source book that gives you all these options. You take only what is relevant to you. You don't need to take all the things, because it will become too much. You'll get confused. So you use it to the extent, for example, very few people will read the entire dictionary, right? You consult the dictionary when we come across a term that we don't know. So it's a reference material. Very few, I know some friend of mine who has memorized the dictionary, but then there are very few and far between. But the idea of this dictionary, idea of the reference books, is for us to go and find what is valuable to us, what we want, what fulfills us. So here clearly he's talking about the Bhakti Yoga path. Okay. Mamcha yo vyabhicharena.
Mam cha yo vyabhicharena.
Bhakti yogena sevate
भक्तियोगेन सेवते
sa gunan samatityaitan
स गुणान् शमतीत्यैतान्
brahma bhuyaya kalpate.
ब्रह्म भूयाय कल्पते.
Then finally, he concludes by saying, Brahmano hi pratisthaham amritasya vyayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya ikantikasya cha. So, as indeed I am the Brahman, the immortal, the imperishable, the eternal dharma, and the absolute bliss. So again, like Aham Atma Gudakesha, here again he says, Aham hi Brahmana Pratishtha, Amritasya Avyavasya Avyayasya cha Shashvatasya Dharmasya cha Ekantikasya Sukhasya cha. So all these attributes of Brahman. So Aham hi Brahmana, I am the Brahman. Pratishtha Amritasya. So I am established in immortality, the Amritasya of the immortal. So I'm established, I'm the immortal one. Avyayasya. So Avyaya is the imperishable. So Avyaya is the Brahman is imperishable. Then Shashvatasya Dharmasya. So the eternal Dharma, the Sanatana Dharma. I am the Brahman. Brahman is the Sanatana Dharma, the eternal Dharma. And Ekantikasya, the absolute Ekantikasya Sukhasya. So the absolute bliss, the perfect, uh, undivided oneness, bliss in that oneness. So, and we know that eternal Sanatana Dharma is the natural law that governs the welfare of the universe. So, the eternal sustainability, we can call it. So, Aham hi Brahmana Pratishta Amritasya Avyayasya cha shashvatasya dharmasya cha ekantikasya sukhasya cha. So these are all the qualities of Brahman, and I am indeed the Brahman, he says. So therefore, whenever he says mad bhaktaha, mad bhavaha, all these things basically means attaining the supreme state, devotion to the supreme, oneness with the supreme, and so on. So brahmano hi pratisthaham
ब्रह्मणो हि प्रतिष्ठाहम्
amritasyāvyayasya cha
अमृतस्याव्ययस्य च
shashvatasya cha dharmasya.
शाश्वतस्य च धर्मस्य
Very good. Sukhasya cha.
सुखस्यैकान्तिकस्य च.
So sukhasya plus ekantikasya, sukhasya ekantikasya cha. Okay, good.
सुखस्यैकान्तिकस्य च.
Very good. So with this, we come to the end of the 14th chapter. We have some more time left. So I think instead of reviewing the 14th, let's go to the 15th. And then after the 14th and 15th, I will summarize both the chapters because these are pretty short chapters. So I'll summarize 14 and 15 together. Now the 15th chapter again, which is very popular because it's a short one. A lot of people learn this. Some people recite it every day, like the 12th chapter and the 15th. These are the two smallest. Both of them have 20 shlokas each. So here he says, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Urdhva Moolam Adhashakam Ashwatham Prahur Avyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Vedasa Vedavit. To the wise people, speak of the perennial Ashwatha tree, which has roots above and branches below. The leaves protecting it are the Vedas, and one who knows this tree truly has knowledge, truly knows. So, Yasya Chandamsi Parnani, the Chandas, in this case, Chandas refers to Veda. So, where the leaves are the Vedas of this perennial Ashwatha tree, Tadrasham, Ashwatham Urdhva Moolam Adhashakam Avyayam Prahuhu. So, the Ashwatha tree, which is the Ficus religiosa or the sacred fig tree, it is having the roots above and the leaves below, the branches below. So, Urdhva Moolam, the mula or the root is above urdhva, and adha lower this thing is the branches. Adha shakham avyayam praho. This is the avyayam is kind of like we have seen imperishable. So this ashwatha is called yaha tam vedaha. This yaha tam veda. Those who know this saha veda vid. They are really knowers of the Veda. They are really knowers of knowledge. They really know the truth. So Ashwatha is the sacred fig tree. It is used as a metaphor in this entire chapter. It is used as a metaphor for existence. Now, is although the roots are also to the ground, it appears as if the roots are on the top and the branches are below. It has all these hanging branches, right? So the roots, which are supposed to be above, it represents our infinite and the immeasurable spiritual dimension, whereas the branches below, they represent this limited, measurable, the material dimension. So if the uh, uh, root above is the basic, our root is the spiritual, and our branches and the manifestation is the material. So material existence, which is the other shakham, is rooted in the spiritual, which is the urdhva moolam, right? The perennial nature of this tree represents the birth and death. So this tree is one which kind of keeps getting renewed, right? During autumn, all the leaves will fall. Again, during spring, all the leaves will come back and blossom. So this represents the cycle of death. And the leaves are the ones that nourish the tree by getting the sunlight and everything. It nourishes the tree. So that is the representation for Veda or knowledge in general, and in specific, the four Vedas that nourish human life, right? And one who understands this metaphor in its entirety, they are the ones who truly understand life, because they understand both the spiritual and the material dimensions. If somebody is only going for spirituality in a blind rush for it and leaves the material aspect behind, that will also be one-sided. Unless they truly transcend to that side, it becomes a hodgepodge. Similarly, if one is overly materialistic and not at all bothered about the spiritual part of it, it leads to a lot of unrest and problem in the society. So it's very important to have this balance between the material and the spiritual. So if you don't focus on the material, you will not get food to eat, you will not have a place to stay, and it will become difficult for you to survive. If you don't focus on the spiritual and are only material, your quality of life itself will suffer. That you are always chasing after some material wealth, or you're only in the material world, not at all having the spiritual flavor, it becomes a monotonous existence, and very soon you will get tired of it. There's always a possibility of getting fed up with the material world. So this balance between the two is very important. That's the basic metaphor that he's trying to address in this 15th adhyaya. So Sri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Urdhva Moolam Adhashakham.
Urdhva Moolam Adhashakam.
Ashwattam Prahuravyayam.
Ashwattam Prahuravyayam.
Chandamsi Yasya Parnani.
Chandamsi Yasya Parnani.
Yastam Vedasa Vedavit.
Yastam Vedasa Vedavit.
Good. Adhashchurdhvam prasristastasya shakha gunapravriddha vishaya pravalaha adhascha mulanyanusantani karmanubandhini manushya loke. So the tender sprouts of this mighty tree are the indriyas, or the senses nourished by the gunas, and the branches extend both above and below. The secondary roots going downwards, they represent the action that bind the individual soul to earthly existence. So the metaphor is extended. Tasya guna pravriddhaha vishaya pravalaha shakhaha adaha udhvam cha prasritaha manushya loke anusantatani karmanubandhini mulani adaha cha. So this is the avyaya Anvaya Krama. So he says Tasya Guna Pravriddaha. So the thing which is nourished by the guna, Vishaya Pravalaha Shakhaha. So the branches, Adaha Urdhvam cha Prasritaha. So both above and below these branches are extending, and Guna Pravriddaha Vishaya Pravalaha. So they are nourished by the senses. They are the senses nourished by the gunas. So guna pravriddhaha. So they are developed, or they are nourished by the senses, and they represent the senses, right? Manushya loke, in the world of human being, or among human beings, anusantatani karmanubandhini mulani adaha cha. So these basically this mula, which is the secondary roots here in this case, they bind the individual atma to earthly existence, and they are represented by this downward growth of the secondary roots. So the mulani adaha, so the downward roots of the secondary roots, they bind the individual to earthly existence. So karmanu bandhini, so they bind to karma, to the material world, right? And here we can just look at the guna as a general guna, need not specifically look at it as triguna, but generally guna, which is the inherent tendency of a person. So adhaschordhvam prasritastasya shakha.
Adhaschordhvam
prasritastasya shakha.
prasritastasya shakam.
Tasya shakha. Then guna pravriddha vishaya pravalaha.
Guna pravriddha vishaya pravalaha.
Adhascha mulanyanusantatani.
Adhascha mulani
Anusantatani. So adhascha anusantatani.
Adhascha mulanya
Anusantatani. Then karmanubandhini manushya loke.
Karmanubandhini manushya loke.
And he says, na rupam asyeha tathopalabhyate nanto na chadirna cha sampratishtha ashwattamenam suvirudha moolam asanga shastrena dridhena chitva. So the true nature of this tree, its basis, its beginning, its end, is not readily perceived. Cut down this firmly rooted ashwatha tree with the sharp axe of detachment. Then it continues. He says, Tataha padam tat parimargitavyam yasmin gatana nivartanti bhuyaha tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yatah pravritti prasrita purani. So then seek, once you have cut this tree with a firm sharp axe of the firm tree with the sharp axe of detachment, then seek that eternal goal, which is attaining the final goal. When you attain that, you are liberated. Attain that by submitting yourself to the Supreme Purusha, the Supreme Being, which is the primal cause of this ancient universe and all its activities. So asya rupam iha na upalabhyate tatha na antah na cha adihi na cha sampratishtaha. So asya rupam, the nature or the form of this tree, iha, in this world, na upalabhyate, it is not available, it is not easy to grasp. Tatha na antah na cha adihi na cha sampratishtaha. So its end, antaha, its adi, which is beginning, nacha sampratishtaha, its basis. So the nature of this tree, which is a symbol of the spiritual and physical dimension and the attachment of the individual atma to the material world, this is not readily perceived. We don't know its basis, we don't know its beginning or its end. It's difficult for us to realize this because we are part of this life and we are trying to examine in this life. We're trying to understand. So it's almost like trying to stand on a platform and trying to lift it. It's almost impossible, right? So we know that life goes on, but we are not able to understand this unless we are able to stand apart from. So if you are standing on a platform and trying to lift it, it's not possible. The only way is when we stand outside of it and then we can lift it, right? So asya rupam iha na upalabhyate tatha na antah na cha adihi na cha sampratishtaha. Then suvirudha moolam enam ashwatham dridhena um, असशस्त्रेण छित्त्वा ततः यतः पुराणी प्रवृत्तिः प्रसृता तम एव च आद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये इति मत्वा यस्मिन् गताः भूयः न निवर्तन्ति तत्पदं परिमार्गितव्यम्. So we'll go word by word. So suvirudha moolam enam ashwatham. So this this firmly rooted, so this tree has got very firm roots. Savirudha moolam enam ashwatham dridhena. It is very firm, it is very strong. Asashastrena chitva, that tearing it, cutting it with the sharp axe of detachment. Tataha, then yataha purani pravrittihi prasrita. So this ancient primal cause, ancient cause of the universe. So this purusha. So then he says tam evacha adyam purusham prapadye. Then by submitting oneself, offering oneself, surrendering oneself to that supreme purusha, iti matva yasmin gataha. So when one submits to that, treating that there's a supreme goal, and yasmin gataha bhuyah na nivartanti tat padam parimargitavyam. When we go to that stage from where there is no return, there is this ultimate goal. So we are seeking that eternal goal. And when we attain that, we are liberated. There is no question of coming back from that. We have completely gone to that stage. It is only possible when we offer ourselves to the Supreme Being, which is the primal cause of the universe and all the activity. So first thing is you have to destroy this attack, the Ashwatha, the firmly rooted Ashwatha tree, which stands for this attachment with the material world, using the sharp axe of detachment. Then we can submit ourselves to the Supreme and try to attain the highest goal. Okay, so let's look at these two shlokas. Na rupam asyeha tathopalabhyate tatha upalabhyate. So na rupam asyeha tathopalabhyate.
न रूपम् अस्येह ततोपलभ्यते
नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा.
नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा.
अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम्.
अश्वत्थमेवं सुविरूढमूलम्.
असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन छित्त्वा.
असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा.
Oh, asङ्गशस्त्रेण. So the Anvaya was wrong then. Okay. Asanga is detachment, not asashastrena. So my mistake. Asanga shastrena. So the sharp axe of detachment. Asanga is detachment. Shastra is a weapon. So asanga shastrena dridena chitva. Okay, I missed out. Sorry. Then the next one is says tatah padam tat parimargitavyam.
ततः पदं तत् परिमार्गितव्यम्.
So parimargitavyam. Yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuyah.
यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयाः.
Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye
तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये
yatah pravrittihi prasrita purani.
यतः प्रवृत्तिः प्रसृतः पुराणी
Prasrita purani.
प्रसृताः पुराणी.
We'll look at this one more today before closing up. निर्माण मोहाजित संग दोषा अध्यात्म नित्या विनिवृत्त कामाः द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ताः सुख दुःख संज्ञैः गच्छन्त्यमूढाः पदमव्ययम् तत्. So, free from false pride and delusion, overcoming the taint of attachment, always conscious of the Atman, renouncing desires entirely and unaffected by the pairs of opposites such as pleasure and pain, the wise reach the eternal goal. Pretty straightforward repetition almost of the ideas we have learned in the past. Nirmana moha. So without mana, moha. So like false pride. Mana in this case should be taken as false pride. Moha, delusion, kind of obsession. Free from that. Jita sanga doshaha, overcoming the taint, the dosha of attachment. So conquering jita, the taint of attachment. Then adhyatma nityaha, always conscious of the Atman, always focused on the spiritual, having a kind of spiritual background to all our thoughts, always established, conscious of the Atman, and cultivating the presence of the Supreme. All these things come here. Then vinivritta kamaha, so where all the desires are completely renounced. And sukha dukkha sanyaihi dvandvaihi vimuktaha. So dvandva, so the pairs of opposites, the dichotomies such as sukha and dukkha and others, pleasure and pain and others, completely vimuktaha, freed from these dvandva, from dvandvaihi vimuktaha. They're freed from these dichotomies. Amudhaha, one who is not foolish, one who is wise, tat avyayam padam gachanti. They attain this imperishable, eternal, final state. A lot of these ideas we have seen earlier, but it's a kind of concise. So, nirmana moha jita sanga dosha.
Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha.
Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha.
Adhyatma nitya vinivritta kamaha.
Dvandvair vimuktaha sukha dukkha sanyaihi.
Dvandvair vimuktaha sukha dukkha sangnyair.
So when you mix it together with the next, so sanyaihi plus gachanti will become sanyair gachanti. But when you are reading separately, dvandvair vimuktaha sukha dukkha sanyaihi.
Dvandvair vimuktaha sukha dukkha sangnyair.
Very good. Gacchantyamudaha padam avyayam tat. Gacchantyamudaha. Gachanti plus amudaha will become gacchantyamudaha padam avyayam tat.
Gacchantyamudaha padam avyayam tat.
Very good. Thank you, Pavani, for reciting today. Some complicated verses also were there. So, what we'll do, like I said, run through the 15th and then we'll cover the 14th and 15th together. 15th is a short one. Even 16th and 17th are not very long. 16th, I think, has about 24, 25 shlokas, and 17th also is fairly manageable. 18th is very big chapter. So that covers a lot of things. So second chapter and 18th chapter are the two biggest, and they have a lot of fantastic content. And we will spend a little more time with the 18th. But the 15, 16, and 17 are pretty straightforward. 17 will be like a companion to the 14th, gives us the idea of the Triguna. 16th is again Daivi and Asuri Sampat, the divine and the demonic qualities. And the 15th is this idea of the Ashwatha Vriksha, and again to do with detachment and things like that. So The final lap will be the 18th Adhyaya, which will take some amount of time, but it's a very, very beautiful chapter. I'm sure you will all enjoy it. So thank you once again, and we will meet tomorrow at the same time and wrap up the 15th, and then we will also see the overview of the 14th, 15th. If there's time, we can also start the 16th chapter. Thank you so much. Om Tat Sat. Namaste.
Thank you, Hariji. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will bring up this question later, if you don't mind, because yesterday I just, as soon as the class was over, I had to rush. So tomorrow I'll take up a couple of questions, whatever was sent.